Hi, Tara Salee, registered dietitian with Hy-Vee, here today to talk to you about make ahead freezer meals. With January here, this is a time where a lot of people are really excited about committing to some of their health goals. They're feeling motivated to make some changes, and make ahead freezer meals is a great way to make eating healthy on a busy schedule very doable. So today what we're going to do is we are going to apply those same principles of healthy eating that we've been talking about for the last couple months, incorporating color on our plate, some whole grains, and lean protein, but we are going to make that in a way that you could carve out time when you have it. Maybe it's a weekend, maybe it's an evening, and make some meals ahead, put those in the freezer so when you guys are in kind of the weekly grind and super busy, you'll be able to pull out something healthy and have a wholesome meal. These are such a help for not only myself, but a lot of my patients, so I'm hoping they will be for you as well. We're gonna be making 3 recipes today, but before we get into those, I just want to kind of go over a few supplies that are really important to have on hand for meal prep. One of those being our foil dishes. These aluminum dishes are going to be very helpful because not only are they disposable and they make cleanup easy, but it's also something that can be freezable and then go straight into your oven once your dish is thawed. So that's going to be important. Some glass bakeware you can do the same thing with, but I'd really avoid using plastic for things like this. The other thing you'll want to have on hand are just freezer bags. I like to have a couple of sizes. One just like your regular gallon size bag, and then another one, we have these jumbo freezer bags, which you can see are just a little bit larger. Before I did meal prep, I didn't even know these existed, but they're very handy because I like the convenience of being able to put my entire meal plus sides into a freezer bag. And that way when you pull it out, everything is in there that you're going to need. So you might consider that as well. All right, so the first recipe we're going to be making today is our spicy orange beef and broccoli. And for this recipe, you're going to need some beef stew meat. You're going to need the brown rice. I like to get just this quick microwavable pack. Canola oil. You'll need some cornstarch. Cutie or clementine oranges. You're going to need some chili garlic sauce, some ground red pepper, light soy sauce, so this is a little bit lower in sodium, and then some broccoli as well. I got a pack of fresh broccoli, but you could also use a pack of frozen broccoli. So the first step in making this recipe is going to be to brown your stew meat. And this is something I've already done for us, and I'll just kind of talk you through what I did there. So in my pan, I just put about 1 to 2 tablespoons of canola oil, and I browned this on each side. And that only took about 5 minutes, and then I just put it on a plate. From there, we're gonna need to make the sauce that will go with this. So for that, we're gonna need the zest from 2 oranges. So if you don't have a zester, basically the zest is the peel on the outside. It adds a lot of flavor and freshness. So if you don't have a zester, maybe think about using your cheese grater or something like that. That would work well also. But you're basically just wanting to get the peel off of this. So to kind of watch your fingers, but you're gonna just be doing this for 2 oranges here. It really does make a big difference in flavor, so I wouldn't completely bypass this step if you have the supplies to do it. You're gonna notice the same things we've talked about just with putting together healthy meals and those power pack lunches is the same thing we wanna do with these make ahead meals as well. We still want there to be color on our plate, and we still want there to be that lean protein. Remember, the color, our fruits and vegetables, is the fiber that's gonna help fill us up. If we don't have the color on our plate, you're gonna be hungry at the end of your meal. You're not gonna be satisfied. Okay. So you'll do that to 2 oranges. I had already started, so we should be good there. And then from there, you're gonna juice 6 of these. So if you prefer to use regular oranges and not the cuties, you probably wouldn't need as many because these are a little bit smaller here. you don't have to have one of these little juicers here. They're very handy, but you can just squeeze it with your hand if you don't have that. I also have had, and I haven't tried this one, but I've had a patient tell me she's made this recipe and she used just a little bit of orange juice and she said it worked just fine. So you can keep that in mind too if you want to save a little bit of time. The protein in our meal today, the beef, is not only lean, the stew meat beef is a lean cut, but it also is a great source of protein. So if one of your New Year's resolutions includes exercise, we want to make sure we're getting adequate protein as well. Protein is our satiety food, so it takes longer to digest than any other macronutrient. And with that, it also takes more energy to burn protein or to break it down, which is called our thermogenic effective food. So it takes a little bit more energy to actually break that protein down. So it's really important, especially for weight management goals, to have that as part of your meal. All right, so we should be good with that. So the next thing we're going to add to our sauce here is some of our soy sauce. So for this, I did get, again, that light soy sauce. So anytime you can cut the sodium in your recipe, I really encourage you doing that. Most Americans eat really close to double the amount of sodium that we actually need. So for our soy sauce, we need a 1/4 cup. So we're gonna add that here. If you follow a gluten-free diet, you could sub this out and use coconut aminos. It's a nice gluten-free alternative. You're gonna find that in the health market. From there, we're gonna use 2 tablespoons of our chili garlic sauce. Now this has a lot of heat to it, so if you do not like spicy things, I would cut this back to 1. When I make this for my kids, I will usually typically just go with 1 because they seem to complain a little bit more when things are spicy. And they also are the type of people who think like pepper is spicy. So then we're going to use some of the crushed red pepper. And this is the ground, and we don't need much of this here. So we only need, I'm only gonna use about a teaspoon of this. Okay. Again, if you don't like spice, you could leave that out. All right, so from there, we're gonna just give this a stir. And this is gonna be our sauce to go over the beef. So from here, I always suggest labeling your freezer meal bags. You want to know what it is in there, because if your freezer is anything like mine, it gets a little chaotic in there. So also put the date on there, because these meals are really, I would say, best in 1 to 3 months from preparation to eating them. So you want to make sure you're using those meals that you've prepped. So we put our beef into our bag here. And then we're going to pour this right over the top. And then from there, try to close it with as little air in there as possible, so it takes up less room in your freezer. So we have that completely ready to go. So the next thing you're gonna need to do is you are going to need to measure out some of your cornstarch. So we're not gonna need this for now, but you will need this for when you're making your dish. So I want you to put this in a separate bag, but go ahead and put it in here, because again, when you're going to cook this, you want it to be as easy as possible. You're gonna need 2 tablespoons. All right, and then from there, we're basically just getting everything together. And then I'll kind of talk you through what to do when it's time to make it. So this is what I was talking about when these bigger bags are nice. So we have our beef in here in the sauce. We have off to the side our cornstarch. We're gonna put our broccoli in here, and then we're also going to put our brown rice. So everything we need for this meal is completely contained within this bag. And we can put this whole thing in the freezer and we'll be able to pull it out and make dinner very easy. This is actually a slow cooker recipe. So I want you to keep that in mind when you're gonna make this. So pull this out of the freezer about 48 hours before you wanna make it. And then when you're ready to cook it, you're gonna actually spray the inside of your crock pot or your slow cooker. And then you're going to just dump this bag of our meat into that slow cooker and put it on low for about 6 hours. Just let it hang out in there. The last 30 minutes, you're going to add in the broccoli and you're going to add in about a tablespoon at a time some of that cornstarch and stir it. That sauce is gonna thicken up, the broccoli is gonna get tender, and then all you need to do is microwave your brown rice and you're gonna have dinner ready to go. The other thing I like to do with this recipe is keep just an extra bag of riced cauliflower, which again is a freezer bag of that in my freezer. So when I make this, if I want to scoop out a couple scoops of that riced cauliflower, put that in the microwave to kind of bulk up my portion a little bit, I could do that as well. So easy peasy, we're ready to go with our first freezer meal here. All right, so now we're gonna move on to our next freezer meal over here. This is our chicken Parmesan casserole. So for this one, we're gonna use our pan here. I went ahead and sprayed the bottom of this. And then what you're gonna need for this dish is 2 chicken breasts, some marinara sauce, Italian seasoning, some garlic powder, some mozzarella, Parmesan cheese, and whole wheat breadcrumbs. For this, we're basically just gonna layer chicken Parmesan casserole style into this pan. So I've already cooked this chicken breast, and all I did for this was I did some olive oil on top of it, I did some Italian seasoning, some cracked pepper, a little bit of salt, and I put it in the oven on 350 and let it bake for about 30 minutes. Then I cut it up into bite-sized pieces, and that's where we're at now. So that's gonna go right in the bottom of our pan here. All right, so that's step one. The next thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna layer in our next ingredients. So we need 2 cups of sauce here. I like to use this cupini sauce. There is only 95 milligrams of sodium in here per serving, which is really, really good, comparatively speaking, for a lot of those other pre-packaged marinara sauces. So we need about 2 cups of this, and you're just gonna put that right over the top. I'm guesstimating here. We like a lot of sauce in our family, so I sometimes go a little more. Okay, and then from there, we're going to do some Italian seasoning, which we need, how much of that do we need? We need half a tablespoon of that. To kind of pour this into here. I'm going to sprinkle that right over the top. There we go. We're going to do some garlic powder here. We need a 1/4 teaspoon for that, so we'll add that in there. Remember, anything that's powdered, like garlic powder and onion powder, doesn't have salt, so it's going to be a much heart-healthier way to add flavor rather than using like garlic salt or onion salt to use the powder forms. Okay, so next up, we are going to mix that around in here. Just want all of those seasonings to kind of get dispersed a little bit. Sometimes when like if you make this in the summertime or have like fresh basil on hand or something like that, I think that's really good in here as well. Okay, so there, we're good with that. Next up, we are going to put our cheese on the top. So we need 1 cup of our mozzarella cheese. Now the mozzarella cheese is part skim, which means it's low fat, which is great. When we're doing low fat cheeses, a lot of times I mean, you're just cutting the saturated fat, which is gonna make another heart healthy option. Okay, from there we're gonna add our Parmesan cheese. And we need a 1/4 cup of that. And that goes right over the top as well. There we go. And then last but not least, we need 1/2 cup of whole wheat breadcrumbs. I got these just for convenience, but you can absolutely make your own. If you have whole wheat bread, toast it in your toaster and then just pulse it in your food processor, put it in a bag and like crunch it up, and you can do it that way also. Remember, using whole wheat breadcrumbs, whole wheat bread is going to be a higher fiber option. This is going to be more filling. All right, so that goes completely over the top, and our casserole is ready to go. So at this point, all you have to do is cover this with foil, label it, chicken Parmesan casserole, write the date on it that we made it, and then you have a couple different options. So remember, we have our lean protein, we have some whole grain in here, but we need our color still. So our side dish for this casserole is, if you wanted to make it just completely a freezer meal, you could just have some green beans in there paired with it so you could pull them out together. And you would just be able to steam those. Or another option would be just to grab a Caesar bag salad kit when you're ready to eat that, and then you could have a salad with it. So, all right, so here is our second freezer recipe meal. Easy and ready to go. So I'm gonna get all this cleaned up, and then we will make our third recipe, which is our chili lime turkey burger. Now we will move on to our third freezer meal, and that is our chili lime turkey burger. So for this recipe, you're going to need some ground turkey breast. This is the 99% fat-free ground turkey. You're going to need some yellow onion, red bell pepper, some cilantro, minced garlic, salt, a lime, and some crushed red pepper flakes. You'll also need to pick up maybe some guacamole, whole wheat buns, and then a vegetable for your side. So for this recipe, we are going to be making our turkey burger, and then we're going to freeze those so you'll be able to pull these out and have a quick, healthy burger ready to go. So to start off, we're using this ground turkey, which turkey is a really good option because it's a little bit lower in calories, and it's a leaner meat than beef is. So it is a heart healthy choice. Something else I've tried with this recipe is there is ground chicken as well. I wanted to give you a variety of protein options today. So we did the beef, the chicken, and now we're doing turkey, but you could also try a chicken burger if that sounds like something you would enjoy. So to this, I went ahead and I diced up our yellow onion here. And so we are going to add a 1/4 cup of our yellow onion, a 1/4 cup of our diced red bell pepper, 2 tablespoons of fresh cut cilantro. We need 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. You can get the fresh clove, or this is a time saver just to do the minced garlic that's already been cut for us here. Okay. We're gonna need a 1/4 teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. Kind of like before, make this to your taste preferences. So if you don't like things spicy, you can leave these out. It does add a little bit of a kick though, which is kind of nice because it's balanced with the citrus from the lime. We're gonna do just a little bit of salt in there. And then we need the juice from 1 lime. All right, so we have half of it. Smells so fresh. And also, whenever you're doing freezer meals, you're gonna find that like whenever you use like citrus juice, it makes it really fresh when it comes out. It still tastes fresh. It doesn't taste as, I guess I don't don't really know what the word would be. Not as, maybe, as my kids call it, they don't like mixed food. Tastes like mixed food, I guess. It just tastes fresh. All right, so we're gonna give this a stir. And then from here, we are actually going to patty these. This makes about 4 servings. Notice there's not like an egg or any kind of binder like that. Actually, it's a lot easier to use your hands when you're mixing this, which is what I'm gonna do here. So once you get this mixed really well, the next step is going to be to go ahead and patty these. So we will need to flash freeze these, because if you just patty these burgers and try to put them into the freezer, they're gonna get a little bit smashed. So what I've done is I've lined my cookie tray over here with parchment paper, and then I'm gonna make 4 of these patties. And then we will actually just pop those into the freezer and we'll let them freeze. So what I usually do is I give them about 15 or 20 minutes just to kind of give them like a quick set before I'll take them back out and put them in my freezer bag so I can freeze them with the rest of the meal. And that's kind of what I'll do here today as well. You know what? There's 5 of us here, and my toddler, he doesn't eat much, so I'm gonna make a little one for him here. So we're actually gonna do 5. I feel like we have enough. So here we go. We have 4 good sized patties here and 1 small one. I'm gonna wash my hands here. And so now would be when you would just go ahead and stick this into the freezer, let it sit for about 20 minutes while you pull the rest of the meal together. So for the side dishes for this meal, you have a couple options. These little 100 calorie packs of guacamole are just fantastic to keep on hand, not only as like a dipper you could use to go with your vegetables as a snack, but they're also really great on these burgers. So you could go ahead and keep some of these on hand to go on top of that burger. You're gonna need some whole wheat buns to go with this. You could do an unwich style if you wanna just like grab some lettuce the day you're gonna have these and like do a lettuce bun. Otherwise, when I'm doing this, I will usually take however many buns I need, and again, get out my great big jumbo size Ziploc and then put those in there as well. So I have my buns, I have my burgers, I have everything I need. And then for a side, you know, French fries and burgers is just kind of fun. So these are actually veggie fries. These are made with zucchini and they have a really light breading. And you just bake these in the oven for about 20 minutes and they kind of crisp up and they're very tasty. So that would be a side that you could just put right into this bag and have ready to go. Otherwise, of course, you could always just pull a salad or some fruit, just so long as you have color on your plate to go along with these chili lime burgers. After these are flash frozen, I would just put those in my gallon-sized Ziploc, label it, date it, put them in the bag, and then tuck the whole thing into the freezer, and you're ready to go with this meal. So that wraps up our 3rd recipe for today. Hopefully you've been able to kind of get some ideas on some freezer meal prep recipes that would be things that you could put into practice and use in your daily life. And as always, you know, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here with me. And I hope you have a healthy and happy new year.